Welcome everyone to Lesson 3 in Manipulating Data. This is for the coverage of the Database Administration Fundamentals and hopefully securing your Microsoft MTA 98364 certification. Now in this lesson we will be going over different ways of selecting data, inserting data into your tables, updating data that already exists in your tables, as well as deleting data for different reasons. We'll first talk about using queries to select data. Now, querying itself is considered a form of data modification because it involves changing query statements to obtain a desired output. No matter the name or descriptor, the object of any database is for the user to be able to extract data from it. Now here, the select query is to use to retrieve or extract data from one table. We'll also talk about how to retrieve or extract data by using joins, as well as how to combine results using the union and intersect clause. Now there are only three things you really need to ensure are identified in your SQL statements to form a proper select query. That is, the columns that you need to retrieve in your select query, the tables to retrieve those columns from, and any conditions that must be satisfied to make your select query return the results that you are so desiring. So here's some examples of those type statements. Obviously, to have a select query, you need to use the word select. And then you need to perform some type of identification, such as the name of columns. Next, we need to have where are we getting this information from. So we use the from clause. So select some columns from this table or tables, and then the conditions that may or may not need to be made, we use the word where they meet some type of condition. So we want select from and where, but that's not always needed. You can have a proper select just using the select from clause. And lastly, I wanted to point out that to create select query statements, you use the SQL text editor window when you have that available to you to perform your select query performance. Now this, may be in some type of query application you have. You may be using the SMSS tool. You may be in Access. So whatever tool you're using, that's where your statements will go to be able to properly function. Now you can write your queries and keep them in like Notepad as a text document, and that may be great for you to have a folder of various scripts that you write and name them properly so that you can easily reference those, and then put proper documentation in them as well so that you know some information that's important to the tables or important to the actual select statement that you're writing, so it's easy reference. Now let's look at an example I've got here for a basic select statement. Now you can see we have a select statement up here. Select first name, last name, salary from employees where salary is greater than or equal to $50,000. Now if you ran this in like the AdventureWorks database, the result you would see might be something as this. It's going to list the column names as well as the selected rows of data that meet the criteria from our select statement. Now the reason for using a comma here instead of a space in our select line there is that SQL treats a space as an identifier or a match word, such as value or select. Thus, if you need to use a space in your statement, you need to enclose the words in square brackets or double quotes. Now, if you were instead wanted to select all the data or choose all of the columns from within a table, you can do so simply by typing an asterisk in the place where the column name would otherwise be given. So here, instead of select first name, last name, salary, if I wanted all of the columns, I would just simply put select and then I would put the asterisk. And then lastly, in our complete select statement, we did use the where clause here. And again, the where clause comes in handy when you want to retrieve specific types of data from the tables. And here we wanted to select based on a category of salary that was greater than or equal to 50,000. Well, what if we wanted to do a select statement where we had different types of conditions that we wanted met for our results? Well, in that case, we would do combining conditions. Now you can combine several conditions in one query statement to satisfy your requirements. You can see here that we have the statements here. Select first name and last name as the column names from the table employees, where the department equals shipping and gender equals female, or F for female, and that they were hired after or on January 1st of 2000. So you can see that this query uses the AND conjunction to yield the names of all employees who are in the shipping department and who are female and were hired on or after January 1st, 2000. As well as you see in this next statement here, we can use an OR conjunction. Select first name, last name from employees where department is equal to shipping, or include the results where employee ID is less than or equal to 610007. So as you remember from logic that the OR conjunction returns results that meet either of two conditions. So the query yields not just the employees in the shipping department, which would meet all of the criteria of this first condition, but it also returns rows of data that satisfy the second condition of the query, where employee IDs are less than or equal to 610007. So by using these conjunctions, we are able to combine conditions into a single query statement. Next, let's talk about the between clause. Now, in some situations, you may need to retrieve records that satisfy a range condition where it also needs to contain a value that is within a range of a specified value. Now, with this query here, you need to retrieve a list of employees who were hired between 1990 and 2000. One way you can obtain this result is to join the two conditions using the AND conjunction. That might be where you're thinking is, hey, that's the easiest way to do it. Now, to help resolve kind of the awkwardness of this, of using the AND clause in this query statement, try replacing it with a between clause instead of the AND conjunction. Now, this will allow to specify the range be used in a between X and Y query format, yielding a much cleaner statement than the one that you're seeing here, where we're selecting first name, last name, hire date from employees. That part's all fine. We're saying where hire date is greater than or equal to January 1st, 1990, and hire date is less than or equal to January 1st, 2000. That's kind of clunky. So instead of using that where and clause, let's take a look at using the between clause, where we're saying between January 1st, 1990 and January 1st, 2000. This doesn't seem as awkward. It makes a lot more sense, almost like we're just using a standard sentence. So using the between, as you can see up above, looks a lot cleaner than the one down below. Regardless, you will receive exactly the same output from either statements.